Welcome, welcome to Homekeepers. Oh, I'm glad to be with you today. Hope your day is just going really great and that you will stay with us for this entire program. It's a very important program, and so whether you've been with us a long time or whether you're a brand new viewer, you are so welcome. I have a return guest, and she is one of the smartest gals I've met. And you talk about multitasking. She hosts a couple radio programs, and she has founded Choose Now Ministries, and she has written these books. They're called Hot Button Issues. This is on drugs. This one's on dating. This one's on the internet. And this is the one we're going to talk about today, and that is the sexuality edition. And thank God for her, because she really researches these books and makes sure that everything is absolutely perfect in them. And get this, she has 6 children, and 3 of them are triplets and quite young. So God bless you so much, Nicole. I'm glad the Lord brought you this way. And so we're going to talk about the sexuality edition, and let me tell you, grandmothers, grandfathers, parents, please get your head out of the sand and know what's going on. Your young people are being raised in a sex-saturated society, and you need to be able to talk to these kids and lead them on a path of righteousness and holiness, morality. So you will see that interview in just a second, but first I want to remind you we're viewer supported. If you can help us out, friends, financially, you can do it by using a credit card and calling 1-800-229-0059, or write to me at Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758. I just love checking on your mail every morning and appreciate it so much. And as the Lord lays it on your heart, I hope you'll respond to His prompting. And I didn't tell you what we were going to fix because it's so special. And if you tell them ahead of time, they would get all excited, their blood pressure would go up. Yes, but I'm over here with Stephanie now, and we're fixing one of my favorite things, and that's potatoes au gratin. But you haven't seen them like this before.
This is a simple recipe. It's fabulous. I love it.
And it's got some rich things in it.
Yes, so we have 4 cups of frozen hash browns that are slightly thawed. And we have 2 cups of whipping cream.
Heavy whipping cream.
You picked
That's
this one.
The bad
this
yeah.
One's not on me.
Yes.
Yes. And then we have some salt and pepper to taste.
Yeah, there's nothing into this except
super duper easy.
A lot of whipping cream.
Love it.
Which certainly pleases me.
And then we have some green onions, scallions.
Yeah, I think I looked on the whipping cream box, and
you probably
about
shouldn't do
60 calories for 1 tablespoon.
Oh,
so it should only be a treat, or
this
when you're having
treat, yes.
company.
And then we have some shredded cheese, 1.5 cups, and we're gonna put some over the top too.
And
now we put them in ramekins, but we're gonna put it in a
and see which way you like it best. I love ramekins, but they can kind of fill up a table if you got a lot of people.
Right, but for a small little dinner party, they're beautiful.
Yeah, and this matches my outfit. Look at that.
I love your green. You look beautiful.
Now I was talking to Susan about how do you think these would go, like in a cupcake pan, if you wanted them pretty small. And this recipe probably should be.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few recipes where they use the cupcake
instead of a ramekin, because, okay, I'm trying to get these, because these hold a lot. There's quite a bit of food in there.
Yeah, that's like part of a good meal. Let's do this, just because we can.
We're supposed to put some of those green things on the top.
Oh
too.
yeah, I made them smaller and I made them pretty.
You?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do this.
Oh, yes.
Look.
Wouldn't that just kind of make your company really?
Oh, look, you make them pretty. Very nice.
And I always like the potatoes au gratin.
That's hot. You better be
they're
careful.
very hot. I'm going to just take a little bit out of there. Maybe it'll cool down a little bit. But I've always liked them really moist, not dry. You might say these are moist.
I think they look really moist.
Yes.
Really
There you are.
gonna put a little cheese over this too, and then when we bake
Okay.
it.
So either way, these are really nice if you got room on your table.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's just Is it pretty hot? I'm waiting a little bit.
No, it's really, really good.
It will have
Wow.
to be.
Okay, it's hot going all the way down.
It would have to
Wow,
be
I
really
feel it.
good. Oh man, my mom used to make some potatoes au gratin, but you know sometimes they would be dry and they're not good.
Well,
These
you
are
know,
really
and
moist.
The old-timey potato gratin, it seemed like so much work. This is so easy.
It was a lot of work.
I mean, it took 2 minutes to put it together.
Oh my word!
I know.
It,
You bake these for about 45 minutes,
it sneaks back on you how good it is.
too. Yeah, and that green onion, just a nice little kick in there.
Yes, but what I was saying, the old way, they would layer.
Right.
You know, you'd cut those potatoes real thin. I think they had a little flour in them too, or something. This is the winner. Now, if you didn't want to use the whipping cream, which I want to use the whipping cream, but you could probably just use maybe a half and half would work.
Half and half would work.
And there is a fat-free half and half that is very good. It's very creamy. I keep it all the time.
Yeah, that'd be good.
'Cause
Right here.
Oh. All right. Okay. Well,
That's really, really good.
if
You
you-
want this recipe.
it's a great one for company.
This is your lunch, right? This
It
gonna be
is.
your lunch today?
It is. So, my friends, if you want, this is one of the best tasting things we've ever done, and we've done over 2,000 recipes. This really stands up. So, if you didn't keep
Track of all
keep
those
track of it,
ingredients.
yeah, all those 4 ingredients, we'll send it out to you. That information is coming up on the screen. And then, if you haven't ever seen one of my shows with Nicole, I'm telling you, this gal is something else, and she's got the message of the hour without any question. So pay attention to what she has to say. Felt like the viewers wanted to know more about your books, and just one of the best things that I've ever had the privilege to promote. This is the sexuality edition, and I think when we were going off the air last time, you said it was the toughest. Was it the last one? Did you put it off? Or?
Not purposefully. I felt like there was a progression I wanted to hit, and dating came first in my mind, and so the sexuality one came later. But in research, and as I'm talking to teenagers and seeing what's going on, often it's the sex that comes first, and the dating either follows or doesn't follow at all.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah,
Makes it worse. Because when you think of my generation,
Yeah.
and well, my mother, she said, I'll talk to you when you're ready to get married, and
Yeah.
still waiting. My mother's in heaven, and we have not had that conversation. But we had a certain innocence, I think, and we didn't have television and the internet, God help us. So this is
Right.
very, very important. How did you, just decide to approach this? I think that would be the hardest part, is see how we're going to do this.
Writing Christian books in a Christian market to Christian families and putting yourself out there on some of these issues. Sex is the big one, and the book reviews and the parents, that's every writer's nervous about that. How are people going to receive it? And all of these books have received the Focus on the Family approval. So they've gone through the paces,
big.
they've been checked for, the recommendations, and the content is right in line, with trusted teaching. But I do cover everything in there, how parents need to cover those really homosexuality. When your teenager comes to you and says, can a gay person be a Christian? What should your answer be? How can you teach, and why should you teach your teenager, your preteen, what homosexuality is before they encounter it at school? Really giving parents the tools to lay those foundations and fill those gaps that they have in their, their brain, the things they can't really grasp yet. Fill it with godly instruction, godly teaching before the friends get there with the misguided
Yeah, and at
approach.
different ages, different people's bodies change, and their hormones and all that.
Yes.
There's so much to
Yeah.
consider. So do you approach it by their age or by what's going on in their life?
Each child is different, and when we start to put in age, then we're going to miss somebody in the mix there, and we have to, as parents, we have to know our kids well enough to realize where they are at each given time. And you mentioned bodies. That's such a big part of this. If we're sending our kids out there to date, we're letting them date, and we know they're experiencing some of those urges and the physical things that happen in the body, but we haven't educated them on what that is, what it's going to feel like, why they're going to be tempted to take it too far, what that pressure feels like, then they're floundering out there in the heat of the moment trying to come up with a choice, the right choice. And we need to really take charge of that issue and let them know how their body acts and how they're going to respond and why the pressure is going to be so hard, why it's going to be so difficult.
And you're going to find a lot of help in this book. This is one of the hot button issue books, and can't really stress how very important it is. Let's go ahead and put up Nicole's website, and we'll just leave it up there because so many people could benefit from this book, certainly your kids, but you have to get it. You have to get the information inside your own head. Here's some questions. Do your kids show any interest in the opposite sex? Has your child had a boyfriend or girlfriend? Have your teens been out on dates? Are your kids ever home alone? Are they ever at friends' houses where there's no supervision? And are you sure about that? Good question. Have they experienced a first kiss or participated in a display of affection like holding hands or hugging? I will never say which grandchild this is. I've got a lot of grandchildren, but I had one that got a girlfriend. He was old enough to have a girlfriend, his first girlfriend, and after a while he found her very annoying. I thought, thank you, Jesus, if we could just postpone this, postpone this a little bit. So these are things that you need to observe.
That part of the book is when I'm trying to talk to parents about admitting and facing the fact that they need to start covering this. They can't wait until their teenager is in a serious relationship. That's too late. Especially when the sexuality issues come up, even disregarding any dating relationship, it comes up on the school bus, it comes up at parties, they're facing it on television and the internet. We live in an over-sexualized culture, and our kids are facing it daily, and we need to give them godly outlook on their body and sexuality and how it works and what it's intended for.
And to any of you gals out there or fathers, and you're living with someone, you're not married to them, and your children are around that, you're going to weep. You're going to weep one of these days. Now, when the body's and all changes, it can create a change in behavior. And you mentioned separating or distance from their parents. Showing more independence and wanting to fit in with their peers, relying more on friends' opinions and parents, experiencing new looks and identities, discarding childhood things. A lot of this is just normal stuff.
Natural, it's going to happen, but that's that phase that girls are searching for identity and acceptance and approval from boys. And boys, well, we know what boys are searching for at that age, so when that really collides, we're sending our teenagers on this decades even long search for this connection that doesn't quite happen until later in life. Boys aren't ready for a commitment, and girls find out that they were looking for something more different than
Yeah, how many, I wonder what the percentage is of teenage boys who walk out on a girl they've made pregnant.
Yeah.
It's huge. It's huge if you think he's some knight in shining armor. Here's some things that to consider. It's on the back of the book. She's made some mistakes in a previous relationship. His school is passing out condoms.
Yeah.
Come on, yeah. And a kid can go and be sent to Planned Parenthood or whatever for an abortion and don't tell the parents. Boy, parents really, there's a whole lot more required nowadays, don't you think?
It's just insane. And so our kids are looking at treating their poor choices, sexual choices, after the fact with the abortion pill and abortion once they're pregnant, there's no consequence. There's no, and you know how teenagers are. They think that will never happen to me when it comes to things like sexually transmitted diseases. Yeah, that's never going to happen to me. That happens in third world countries. But we need to, really open their eyes to the truth.
And her books, Nicole's books, teach you how to be proactive. Let me once again mention all of them. Drug addiction, internet. Didn't need this a few years ago.
No.
Didn't need this book.
And the internet goes right along with drugs and sexuality, that exposure, the pornography. We deal with pornography a lot in the sexuality edition because it's, one of those, we talked about gateway drugs, it's one of those things that...
So these books are available Amazon.com and through this website, and you said Barnes & Noble, just about anywhere these books are sold. And here's one that probably wouldn't have happened when I was in high school. Friends experimenting with homosexuality. But I have heard that is kind of the in thing to do.
Yeah, and one of the things that's happening is our teenagers are being, and we, all of us, are being called to be tolerant, and showing that tolerance by embracing sinful choices and lifestyles and homosexuality. And in fact, it's an unloving thing to show that kind of tolerance because it goes against God's teaching, it goes against God's word. So it's actually an unloving behavior. But our kids think it sounds great, and if I'm tolerant, then I'm showing love and I'm being like Jesus. But Jesus didn't tolerate sin like that.
Sin, not at all. Now, again, comparing, and maybe, I don't know if this was true when you were growing up and all, but the boys called the girls on the phone. Did they do that in your generation?
Yes. By my teenage years, the girls were calling, but now you're lucky if the phone rings. It's text messages.
Yeah, it's, I know one mother, these girls were calling her boys, and she just told the girls, she says, don't call here. They'll call you if they want to talk to you.
Yeah.
But I hadn't thought about texting does away with that.
My daughter got asked to her homecoming dance by a text message. And I said, are you
that's
kidding
personal.
me? Really, it just goes less and less personal. And what happens with that is because they're having these ongoing, constant conversations via text. And it's safe, so they can, not only are they not quite themselves, but the girls see something in the boys that aren't really there, like confidence or, they...
Yeah, because they're not looking them in the face.
Right, and they're infusing their own, kind of their expectations into that text message. So it creates this false intimacy that then when they're in person, they have this relationship that they think has been going on, but
you look at their eyes.
Yes, it's just
Wasn't
not,
there a book out recently that says he's not that much into you?
Yeah, a movie.
Because women are, we're really romantics. And
yes, and we often chase after the ones who pull back because we want to make sure, we want that acceptance from all of these people. So when they pull back, we chase them harder as women, typically.
I had another guest on there, was fabulous. Her whole ministry was warning about the internet. And she said if you have sleepovers, whatever, when the kids come in, collect their phones, and they don't get them back till they leave to go home. Because silly kids, 7th, 8th grade, they might take a picture of a girl in a nightgown or less, they'll text it right there from that bedroom, and it's on the internet forever.
Forever and ever. And visual things, images. One little web search that brings up pornography, that's imprinted on those kids' minds forever, and it begins that sexual experience that, will go on for decades. They're starting this so early, 13, and we're looking at 20 years of, high school and college and dating and marriage, and how many times they're dividing their heart over and over.
Yeah, there's a verse in Lamentations about, it says she didn't consider her future. And these things can ruin your future. And something else that can ruin your future is tattoos all over your body. I understand those people are pretty hard to, be hired.
Sure.
So there's so many. What about in your home or maybe the homes of your friends? you require that that boy come and meet the father before he takes your girl out?
And why, it doesn't have to be that he shows up and picks up the girl and they leave on a date. You can spend a lot of time having that boy come over and welcome him into the home and spend time getting to know him. You don't have to surrender your daughter just because she turned 16. You don't have to do that.
Yeah, Bill Gaither always said, keep your home fires warm enough that all their friends will want to be there. And when you have that kind of an atmosphere, it's going to make a big difference. You talk about missionary dating. This is great. Do you want to explain what it is?
I mean, I've already heard this in my home, and I remember trying to make this argument myself. So you're raising a Christian teenager, and they are attracted to someone at school who is not a Christian. And the lie from our enemy is that if I date him or date her, I'll be able to bring her or him to church. I'll be able to bring him along. But that's not how it works. I remember in high school, my youth pastor had somebody stand up on a chair and then had someone else stand next to it and said, now you reach down and pull her up. And when that boy tried to pull the girl up onto the chair, they both toppled over.
That's a good visual.
When she tried to tug on him, he fell right off. So it's a lot easier to pull someone down than it is to pull someone up, especially when you're in those moments, those dating relationships where, the pressure's on.
I have some articles upstairs in my file. One of them is very powerful, that when the father and the daughter have a really good relationship, it kind of just wards off a lot of this stuff. And I think there's a reason that Satan goes after men.
Oh, yeah.
Because God made them to be the head, the protector, all of those things. And when you remove that, it's a huge vacuum. Another article was if a girl has a horse.
A horse. Okay.
That delays her interest in boys.
Huh.
Yeah, it's quite a scientific.
That relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's just because there's something that's really of interest to her, but I do think that father holds such a strong key for both sons and daughters.
I think our girls too, when they don't feel that love and acceptance, that relationship with their own father, they go off searching to fill that hole.
Yep.
And that's such a big issue.
Unmet need. We're just about out of time, but I do want to address, and I don't know what you've missed in all this. I so commend these books, and that's violence in dating. And if you stay on top of things at all, read newspapers and all, teenage dating has become very violent, and it's not unusual. It's not the regular, but it's not unusual anymore.
Statistics say 1 in 4 dating teens have experienced dating violence. And
1 in 4?
Yeah, and I look at my daughters and her friends, and I think, 4 girls, and I look at them and think, which one of them? And how do I feel about that as a parent, thinking that my child might be in a situation, I get angry.
Yeah, for sure. But you've done such a great job, Nicole, and we've had that website up this whole time.
Thank you.
She's done so much work for you, no matter where you are in life. You're a grandmother, mom, whatever, church group, and all. These are things, and at least on this program, and I'm so thankful that we've shone the spotlight on it and brought up as many little issues as we could, and I believe the Lord's going to use it. Stay with me. I have a couple things to say before we have to say goodbye. I am so thankful that God has raised up people like Nicole, and that He brings them here so that I can introduce you to them as she deals with what we call all of these hot button issues, so important. All of them can be life-destroying issues when it comes to the internet, dating, the drug addiction, and of course, promiscuity, sexuality. And so thank God she does the research, she puts the spotlight on it, and we're able to bring that to you. And the reason we are is because of your generosity. So I want to remind you again that we are viewer supported. And if you'd like to donate with your credit card or debit card, just call 1-800-229-0059 or write to me here at Homekeepers, and you can include a check, Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida, 33758. Because the truth is, we're dealing with important life issues almost every single day. We love to deal with your spirit and your soul before God, but we also like to deal with all the things that you have to face in this world, and it's changing so rapidly. And as I said at the top of the program, you've got to get your head out of the sand and see the kind of culture that your children, your grandchildren are growing up in. It's nothing like you grew up in. But every kind of temptation is out there, every kind of snare, every kind of drug, every kind of violence can be waiting around the corner. And of course, we live in this sex-saturated culture. And try to put yourself in the place of that teenager, of what they are seeing, what they're experiencing. And so you say all of that, and you bring in the statistics, and then I remember a scripture that says nothing is impossible with God, nothing. And so do it God's way, and I believe that ultimately you can have a really good outcome. I believe that. We are out of time. I hope you'll join me next time. Remember, there's no higher calling than that of a homekeeper.